I don't think you understand. I want to feel that bass in my chest. I want it to scramble my skull into a bloody fucking mess. I want my sternum to radiate, my heart to completely stop, start, and then vibrate. I need it to rattle my entire ribcage, then shake my brain until I forget my name. To crash into me like tidal waves, to collapse past and present pain, to thrash me like a fucking hurricane. I just want a fistful of bass to peel back my face and eat me alive. I want it to bring on the apocalypse, and I do not want to survive. I want it to shatter my bones. I want it to get me drunk, to get me stoned, because the bass is my drug.
That was great.
I give a little into the moment, like I'm standing at the edge. I know that no one's gonna turn me around. Just one more step, I could let go. Oh, and in the middle, I hear the voices and they're calling for me now. I know that nothing's gonna wake me now, 'cause I'm a slave to the sound, and they're calling, don't stop, no, I'll never give up, and I'll never look back, just hold your head up, and if it gets rough, it's time to get up. They keep saying, don't stop, no, I'll never give up, and I'll never look back, just hold your head up, and if it gets rough, it's time to get up. They keep saying, don't stop, no, I'll never give up, and I'll never look back, just hold your head up, and if it gets rough, it's time to get up. They keep saying, don't stop, no, I'll never give up, and I'll never look back, just hold your head up, and if it gets rough, it's time to get up.
It really has to do with every generation needs a place to put hundreds of thousands of kids in a field to listen to cool live music.
I think really though, before we go, we should all do a prayer circle that it doesn't storm.
Went into the porta potty to take a piss, and I passed out because I was so tired and so
That is
drunk.
disgusting.
I passed out in the porta potty. I woke up I came into consciousness when Jack White's was playing Seven Nation Army, because you just hear that bass line. It's just like, oh, I know this song. And then I passed right back out, and it's a festival like North Coast where you don't camp out. You just like go and then it's over and you leave. Well, I passed out and I woke up and there was nobody there. It was like 4 and 3 in the morning and like everybody is gone. And I'm like, shit. The longest walk home of my entire life, and it was only like a block, and it was awful. It was awful. So I'm actually a pastor's son. He quit being a pastor from a church just to take care of his family, and I'm one of 5 siblings. So I have a big family. All are very faith-oriented. All my siblings went to Christian colleges.
So how do you two know each other?
Actually, the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous.
You can't say that.
Oh, fuck. What should I say? One of mine.
Just similar interests, I guess.
Similar interests. I met her at a show at the Congress Theater, and we've been friends ever since. We both clicked because we're both clean and serene and sober, if you want to call it. And yeah, since we're both on the similar path, you know, why not stick together and push through all the rough times in life? You know, it's always good to have a backup, you know, someone to fall on. Wide networking, you can call it, within people that are sober. You know, someone to help you through the rough times, you know. So yeah.
Well, and it's nice to have people to go to shows with who are in the same shoes as you.
I was in a hospital for, I don't know, 3 to 5 months. I can't remember exactly. It was a blur. But everyone else there was so down and upset, and I mean, I could feel their pain, but I wanted to help them. I wanted to have them feel the way I do, where like you realize it's a problem, but everyone has problems.
I was born in Poland, but I come from Germany. Okay. So, I was born in Poland, but I grew up in Germany. I moved here last summer, and I didn't know anything. It's like every new language. How are you? Okay, first you have to learn English. I could go wherever I wanted. Like everyone told me go to Florida, go to Texas, go to California. But Chicago, this passion for house music, for EDM, like the Chicago house. It's like house was born here. It's like this, yeah, this is the best place for me in the world now to be here. It's like I'm so proud to be here, and the best city. And the DJ is like music is like my drugs. Like I don't need to drink or nothing. Just I go to concert. I feel like high.
And at that point, I was like newly sober and like going through like a transition in my life, you know, and I like needed to find something to occupy my mind and my time, and that was like the perfect escape, you know, from, and it's my drug really. It's like maybe I substituted music festivals for drugs, but that's how I get my high now. I've sacrificed, I think, a lot of friendships as well. A lot of my friends aren't into the music festival scene, and that's my life, and I would much rather choose to go to a music festival than hang out with some of my friends. I feel like I'm getting old at this point. I'm 27 years old, and sometimes I feel like I convinced myself to stay in the music scene because music has been a huge part of my recovery process.
What it brings to an individual from a healing and a connection standpoint, I think this is really just part of, you know, the human condition.
Today's music festival began in the 1960s when you had things like Monterey Pop and Woodstock.
I do think that it's a really interesting dynamic where it starts with what happened in America with things like Newport and Monterey and Woodstock, and then Europe took it and interpreted it in a much different way than what happened in America post those things. You know, in America, the industry did not kind of continue down that path. I think a lot of it was because, you know, there was some tough circumstances around those events, and there became a lot of regulatory hurdles, I think, from a business standpoint. Whereas in Europe, they looked at things like, you know, again, Woodstock and Newport and all of that stuff, and they developed Glastonbury, they developed Roskilde.
Something like 250,000 young people spent 5 days proving that a giant pop festival can be far less inflammatory than many a football match. And I can't remember a time when so many people got together in such harmony for the simple pleasure of laying around and listening to their kind of music.
The US has been a different story. I mean, in the 70s and 80s, there weren't that many festivals. It was more like sort of traveling stadium shows, you know, like you had the Monsters of Rock package, or you had Ice-T and Guns N' Roses and Metallica playing stadium shows, package shows, and they would travel around. And that sort of morphed into, in the 90s, kind of traveling festivals. Lollapalooza, Lilith Fair, each one had a theme. The Horde Tour, Warped, which was a punk rock tour, super cheap punk rock tour, and that's kind of the only survivor of those days. I think kids wanted a bigger, broader festival that could accommodate more and more people and more genres of music. And, you know, I really think that it's the way festivals have evolved is kind of a demographic issue. So in the 60s, you had the baby boom generation. There were a lot of those guys. You had 600,000 people at Woodstock. My generation is sort of so-called Generation X, which is much smaller. And so when we had outdoor festivals, we had mostly Lollapalooza or Horde or Lilith Fair and those kinds of things at amphitheaters with many fewer people. And today, you know, you have the kids of the baby boomers, the millennials or whatever you want to call them. And so now we're starting to circle back to giant hundreds of thousands of people going to all these different festivals around the country again.
It was at a time when a lot of energy was there in sort of the post-Grateful Dead, post-Fish scene. There was sort of a vacuum there. That audience was looking for, you know, kind of that same type of community. And because those bands weren't really touring, you know, or at that point were defunct, there was, you know, this sort of scene looking for something to coalesce around.
In a way, they were like the Woodstock pioneers. You know, they were the guys that realized, okay, people want to do this. People want to come to one of these destination festivals. And from there, it just kind of took off, and it just one led to another. It probably took 3 or 4 years for each one to sort of develop a niche and become known. And then the next thing you know, Lollapalooza stopped touring and just said, okay, we're going to plant ourselves in Chicago, just like Coachella or Bonnaroo did. And then we were off to the races.
Certainly I can say from a Live Nation standpoint, I think 4 years ago we had 3 or 4 festivals in the United States. This year we'll have over 30. You're seeing a big expansion in South America right now. You're seeing a huge expansion in the United States. But Europe, Europe has been a foundation of summer music, has always been festival driven for 30 years.
I mean, there's new ones every day, it seems like. And I love it. I think that's great. I think that it gives more people in more locations from more demographics the opportunity to experience what I've experienced.
And now you see, like festivals here, there. The country wants these things. They want these getaways. So yeah, I got $70. Yeah, I can go see doggone it.
I am a professional, a commuter, up until recently a student. I have a family, I have friends, I have a dog, I have bills. And, in the day-to-day, every day I'm sitting in 2.5 hours of traffic, pulling my hair out, getting frustrated. And everybody has their own release. Some people's release is going to the gym. Some people like to go hiking. Some people like to, run marathons. I like to go to music festivals. I'm gonna spend the next week hydrating, picking out outfits, running through my schedule 1,000 times, trying to figure out, okay, I'm gonna go to half of this, and then I'm gonna cut over, and I'm gonna see the second half of this, because there's conflicts, it's hard. Sometimes the 2 people that you want to see are playing at the exact same time, and you either have to make a decision or make a run for it.
My family, they try to go with me to a lot of concerts and festivals. They try to, but they got responsibilities. They can't. They try to stick around as long as they can. But they don't. You know what I'm saying? They try. My sister Stacy, she tries. God bless her. You know what I'm saying? She be trying to kick it with me from time to time. Just to a concert or a festival. You know what I'm saying? I remember very vividly Stacy hardcore with me out to San Francisco to see Rock the Bells. And that was meant so much to me that my sister did that with me. We had so much fun that 3 days. She watched me jump out of a plane that day. You know what I'm saying? I come out of a parachute, boom. You have to love something about it to go. You gotta love an artist, a feeling, a sensation that you had, something. It's the only reason to go to festivals. You want to feel love.
They want a deeper connection. They want a, fun and memorable experience. They want to feel like they were part of something. And I think to a certain degree, festivals help create somebody's identity. Well, you see people wearing their festival badges for a full year till they go back. Is that because they want to make their friends envious? I would say no. I would say that's because that experience was really important to them.
The environment, it's peaceful, there's a lot of unity and community in it. I mean, Summer Camp 07, I haven't found any similar experience close to that. It was just, there's people looking out for each other, people just taking care of each other naturally. If you needed something, you could ask somebody and they would take care of you. You could be stranded and somebody would just ask you if you needed anything, and you could always find a ride home and just rely on your neighbor to kind of take care of you, which was awesome.
One of my first major concert experiences was a little bit festival-like. They used to, Barry Fay, who's the big concert promoter here in Denver, the guy who passed away, he used to do these big shows in Folsom Field in Boulder called Sunday Number 1 and Number 2. Have you guys heard of this? No. If you grew up in Boulder, you would know what this was. But it was just basically a package tour. It would be so it was like once they had the Who and Jethro Tull and John Cougar as the the big one, and then another one they had. The one I went to was REO Speedwagon, 707, Rainbow, Ted Nugent. I forget the Scorpions were one of them. And I sold Cokes. I was like 13 years old, and I carried around a big metal tray and sold Cokes to other people at that. And so that was definitely that was a very communal festival experience back then. And that was also a destination kind of standalone festival too, you know. And so these things aren't new. They've been going on steadily all these years. It's just that they become sort of a big, cool, important cultural thing. I mean, what's not fun about that if you're 18, 19, 20, 21? I mean, if you're, and we're not just talking about some crappy local bands, we're talking about like Eminem or Elton John or you know, the Outkast reunion. This is pretty great stuff to see. So, you know, I think that's what's driving it. You know, if you're a college student and it's April and you need 3 days to get away from your finals and your intense studying, or if you have a job and you know you want to go take a break, I would imagine Coachella would be just the most awesome weekend getaway or whatever it is. You bring your drinking buddies or your girlfriends or whatever it is, and I would imagine it would just be, you know, a much more fun than Disneyland.
We're all a family and people don't, you know, judge you for your past or what you're currently doing. So, but
I disagree.
you disagree, really? The whole reason I started getting into music festivals was from age 16 to 23, I struggled with addiction with heroin. I hung out with kind of a rougher crowd in high school, and I was always attracted to the badder kids. You know, I thought that was what the cool kids were doing, and at the time when I was doing heroin, not a lot of people were doing it. Like my small group of friends were, and it was kind of the cool thing to do, but now I've seen it's grown into an epidemic. I stole a lot from my family, which is kind of what led to them not talking to me for so long. I panhandled on the side of the highway. I stole from friends as well. I sold everything that I had. When I went to jail, that was also a big wake-up call. I was in jail for 3 months because I was caught with drugs, so it was a possession charge. I did all of my using on the west side of Chicago, and I had been living in my car for a few weeks, and I would steal like water bottles from stores and then sell them on the side of the highway. And like I was sitting in my car and I had just gotten high, and I just knew, like, and it was Thanksgiving Day, and you know, my family's all together. I don't even know where my friends are. But yeah, so I think being alone on Thanksgiving, shooting heroin in my car, was the moment I realized that I didn't want to live like that anymore. If you guys get lost again tonight, anyone who gets lost is on their own. I mean, it's actually more entertaining when you're sober and you can see like the decline of people throughout the night. Everyone starts normal, and then by the end they don't remember anything, and I have the joy of knowing everything that went on.
Shows and festivals, the way people react is usually either not listening, or I poke them, they look at me, look back, look at me again, and just don't move and don't care. I'm like, all right. And then I just become an asshole because I'm usually drunk, and then they move eventually. Or I run over the back of their heels.
Okay, he is the biggest dick I know. No joke.
Okay.
I love him to death, but he's one of the biggest dicks ever. And like...
Yesterday, a girl came out of the crowd and just started making out with him.
For the sheer purpose of making
And she was really attractive. She was hot too.
She was hot?
You didn't even, did you see
I was
her?
not there.
You
but
weren't
you
there,
told
but
me
she was. She was really
I vouched for that.
At least like a 7.5, 8, right?
Oh yeah.
No, she was like maybe a 9 even.
Oh wow.
I have a wheelchair for fun times and girls.
Yeah.
It works.
Get a little dance. Get a little dance going on.
You could get an electronic wheelchair and cruise.
That's what I said yesterday. I was like, let's get you a Hummer.
I didn't think that far
They
ahead.
give that shit to people for free.
During the surgery, the surgeon messed up a few times. Still not exactly sure, but regardless, I was paralyzed, and as a result, was diagnosed with an incomplete spinal cord injury. I mean, I was a freshman in high school, so before the accident, I didn't have plans. I cared about girls and having friends, as most 15-year-olds do. After the accident, I grew up a lot, very quick. I matured. I had to mature very quickly, and
Yeah, right.
Back in 2008, I was doing the festival thing, and I was selling doses, acid, LSD, and one of my best friends actually set me up with the cops to kind of bail out on a situation that he was in. When I got arrested, they were like, they wanted.
Wait! Wait! It's all about music. It's like music connects people. It's like, wow, I love it. It's like my world. I think it's cute. It's cute, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, Alex, can you make this like look normal?
Oh, well, and it tries here on the head if this, I don't know.
I don't know because I don't know if you'll be able to see it because
How it's look?
it's cute, but because your hat's tilted up,
So nobody will
no
see
one
it.
can see
Okay, okay. So let's do it here, please. On the cute.
But then when I came home, this kid hit me up, and I hadn't talked to him in like 10 years. But he's like, let's grab some coffee. And we did, and it just like, it made sense. It's like, he actually dated in high school when he first became paralyzed. He dated who was then my fiance. She was the first girl to date him when he became paralyzed. And she was very good looking. So the fact that she was willing to date him kind of opened up the doors for everybody else. So he was actually, on the market again.
I was incredibly self-conscious, but the first girl I dated after being paralyzed, she changed my life by just telling me, listen, it is what it is. You gotta shut up. You're still attractive. You're still the same person. No one views you differently other than yourself.
And she always supported me in my company, which was really kind of what drove me to take this seriously. Doing music production, because she always supported me going to school and pursuing it and doing it. And I felt that part of my mission as life is to carry on that aspect, because I know she would have approved of me taking it seriously instead of just like kind of doing it party and have fun and get weird and everything, but to actually take it to the next level and compete with a lot of these big people that are doing it and have been doing it for a long time.
I wish I could be a part of it. I really do. I really do. That would be like so dope. You know what I'm saying? Because it would be like, it almost like be transcended. You know what I'm saying? You can't do the music, you know what I'm saying, but you can do something else to help it, you know? Maybe I could get some artists that I like to see on the fest one day, you know what I'm saying, that I like on the internet, that I, you know, made connects with and help influence other people to get to know him. You know, when I was young, I really wanted to try to do it. I really did. You know, my boy Kenyon, you know what I'm saying, Jan, he's still trying, you know what I'm saying. I give him props. He be trying to get this music out there. And I just didn't really see it as productive enough to me for my situation. It's kind of sad, you know what I'm saying. I had all you handle that, deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, on 15243 3rd Avenue in Phoenix, Illinois, I was the roughest MC within the next 4-block radius. Fuck that. I had this old nickname I used to go by. My old rap name was Sir Ice back in high school, and I started going to college. And I think I need to change it up a notch. So I was like, something, I was just like, I need something catchy. I don't know. And I was just like sitting in the corner of the bus. I saw some cracks on the corner of the wall, you know, and then it was just like, okay, cobweb, okay, that's it. I don't know.
My job. I have lots of jobs. In my spare time, I do painting, so that's a good portion of my time, especially lately. But other than that, I manage a few artists, electronic producers based in Chicago. They travel and do a lot of things. We set up tours for them, and also I run my own company, putting concerts together, and a lot of times we build the concerts around the artists that we manage, and we have a bunch of people behind us and backing those as well. So
This right here is Woodstock 99 at its finest.
So Woodstock 99 was kind of the transitionary event, or certainly the transitional year that went from, you know, these traveling festivals like the original Lollapalooza or Lilith Fair to what we have today, which is Bonnaroo and Coachella, which is everybody goes to one destination. But the problem was that it wasn't organized really well. As I recall, you know, it was very hot. Water wasn't easily found. There were some issues with the food and with the toilets. By the end of the festival, fans were kind of uncomfortable. And they'd been sitting in the hot sun, and they were hungry, and they were kind of pissed off. And it was sort of a perfect storm. It coincided with angry bands on the bill, particularly Limp Bizkit. And so when Limp Bizkit literally went on stage and sort of had the song break stuff, people started literally breaking stuff. And then there were fires and, tragically, horribly, there were people sexually assaulted, and it just went bad. And it was a bad festival. It was good in a lot of ways, but it certainly got bad there at that moment at the end. And I think that almost immediately after Woodstock 99 is when you started to have Coachella and Bonnaroo and some of these other festivals. I think they started around 2000, 2001. And so those guys were smart when they started their festivals. They said, okay, what can we learn about what Woodstock 99 did wrong? I actually literally think that that's what they were thinking. I think they were quoted about those things at the time. And they said, okay, well, they got the idea right, but the execution of it was wrong, and we're going to fix the execution.
Even what had happened with Woodstock 99, where that, sort of cast a big shadow over large-scale festivals, but in a lot of ways it created opportunities for somebody like us who was really connected to an audience and knew kind of how you could create something like that in a really harmonious and sustainable and positive way. We looked towards the European market and all the festivals that were kind of in that world. We looked at, Phish had been putting on their large-scale festivals, and because they weren't doing that anymore, there was, again, that void. We definitely recognized that there was a lack of a large-scale camping national festival event. We had gone to Coachella a few years before, so although I don't think we ever think it was sort of like a direct line from, oh, we went to Coachella, let's do a festival. It was inspiring to see, a upstart promoter like Golden Voice and Paul do something like that.
Nowadays, these concert goers and stuff like that, they make sure that you are okay. They don't play that mess. You know what I'm saying? They want people to be safe. You know what I'm saying? You be seeing people, I saw people out there in North Coast with their kids. You know what I'm saying? I was like, what the heck,
I don't think that some of these 15, 16-year-olds have any idea what kind of long-term effect some of these things that they're doing have on their body, including their eardrums.
That's one of the things about your kids. You know what I'm saying? When they leave your site to go to a festival, make sure you just like, hey, okay, let me see what you taking. I just want to make sure you got all the safety things that you need. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you have, here's a bottle of water before I made you a pack. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have all that stuff, You know what I'm saying? I wanted to listen to some hardcore stuff. God bless my mama. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that's what she had to do. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be, as a parent, you have to take some control of your children, what they listen to. You gotta know what your kid's listening to so that you can say, okay, you know what I'm saying, that's not appropriate. I don't think you should be listening to freaking, this right now at your age. You know what I'm saying? Everything's relative, just like movies. You wanna let your kids watch pornos. You wanna listen to Too Short. That's adult music. I would try my best to encourage my daughter, honestly, as a good parent, to be the best person that she can be. And be able to live with yourself in the morning with anything that you do that night. And be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, yep, I did that. Am I proud of it? Yes or no? And what am I going to do about it?
I will never allow my children, maybe under 15 years old, going to festivals. Maybe with me, my parents, I said okay, but not with they said they all.
They are all over. That's why I have a flag. That is so fun. Next festival, I am going to make flag. Good. Like, Barbara is me. I have no internet connection. Do you know what that means for me? No life. Yeah, you are on the festival? Are you here or you where are you? Oh yeah, I was there. I can find nobody. It's just like everyone disappeared. Where are you guys all? Hey, So text me where are you? I will come to you. Where are you? Text me, okay? Text me. Describe me where are you exactly. Okay. Bye. Bye. Crazy.
That dance and everything else like that, that techno and all that stuff. And I wasn't really exposed to any of that. None of that before. I never listened to any of that before. You know what I'm saying? I tried actually, like, beforehand, I started I like searching some of the groups on YouTube before I went to see what it is. It's always a good thing when you have a festival. You know, search, you know, it's like, okay, I'm spending money for this, so I might as well see who everybody is on this. You know, and I was like, oh, I heard that song before. Oh, I've heard that. I was like, okay, you know, the next thing I know, I'm like, man. You know, I was like, this is what's up.
Chicago's most recent contribution to the American music scene is how it got its name. So-called house music was first made in the creators' houses, but it was also performed at clubs called the Warehouse and Powerhouse. However it got its name, it's one of the hottest things going, and as Jay Levine reports, it may only be a matter of time before house musicians become heroes in their own home.
They started playing house music at this Michigan Avenue hotel and health club last summer, and they've been packing them in ever since. It's the first time...
The real kind of modern history of what we call EDM, I would argue, kind of begins with disco, you know, or the end of disco. And when disco kind of crashed because white rock fans decided that they would stamp it out for a variety of kind of bad reasons, disco just went underground. It never really went away. I mean, some people argue that it kind of all turned into Michael Jackson, you know. So disco went away and it turned into Thriller and Off the Wall. But on the rest of it kind of went underground. So it turned into Detroit house music, and then ultimately it turned into rave music and electronica and ambient music and all this different kind of stuff that happened. And so it just kind of mutated and went around and it started to take off in different ways in Europe as well as the US and other places, and all those things started to influence each other.
But in London, house has made it to the top of the pops faster than anything since the Beatles. All right, listen, we've got a new number one. You tell them about it. Steve Still Curly.
Like I said, 30 years ago, I got asked to DJ at a party because I was the only one who had the records. And so I used to get invited, and I was like, yeah, but the records get covered in vomit and cigarette butts. And they said, what if we hire you 2 decks and you like act as the DJ? And I just loved it. I love showing off, and I love playing my favourite records to people. And in those days, it wasn't a career, it was just a hobby. So I'm very lucky to have been able to do it for a career and determined to do it till I die.
So here in the US, in the early 90s, it kind of assumed the form of rave parties. You know, people would go to warehouses, and it was a phenomenon much like Woodstock, although smaller, you know, where thousands of kids would get together in some unknown warehouse. There was no security and no rules, and everybody would be taking ecstasy and wearing fluorescent clothing and whatever, and dancing around to thumping, da-dun, 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 you know, kind of house music. And then that kind of mutated into electronica, and then you had the Chemical Brothers, and you had Fatboy Slim was one of those artists, you know, who would kind of, everybody thought that was going to be the next big thing. It turned out not to be, and instead it kind of jumped over to England, where dance music caught on once again over there. Now we're calling it EDM, or electronic dance music. And that's only because in the last 7, 8, 9 years here in the US, festivals started to take advantage of the dance music that was going on in Europe. And they started to import it over here. And suddenly you had DJs as stars here in the US, like Tiesto and Avicii and Cascade and Skrillex and all those guys. Once you have sort of major pop stars in a genre, that's really when it starts to take off.
I feel that electronic artists specifically, they project a very specific image for themselves and an image for their fans. They name them Bassheads and Pretty Lights Family and stuff like that. They name their fans. I mean, that's huge.
I'm not really a believer that it's about genres. I think the genre, evolution of genres and how they come and go, I think is something that's been sort of present in music, for modern music for, a long time.
None of this is new. In music, nothing really is ever new. Sometimes technology is new. So the electric guitar, that was new. The MP3 was new. Radio, FM radio was new. But musical trends and people sitting in a field watching a concert, not really that new.
They almost form cliques, which is really interesting because the same type of people would like the same type of music, you would imagine. So, you have Pretty Lights fans are a little different from Bass Factor fans, are a little different from Grizz fans, Big Gigantic fans. Everybody's really different. But when they come together, there's a whole lot of union there because these people have listened to the same songs falling asleep at night. They listen to the same CDs in their car every day. Aside from that, there's some genre discrimination. There's some genre worship that happens where people get really sticky about it, like saying, oh no, we don't like trap music because we're in the Grizz family, or no, we don't like techno music because we're into Pretty Lights and Funk for Life and stuff like that. I was actually a part of the Pretty Lights family when Pretty Lights recently went on Conan, and there was a lot of chatter about people being really upset about it, that they didn't want him to be on TV, they didn't want him to be publicized, they didn't want this happening to their little corner of the world. They didn't want it to get huge. That's something that I can't see eye to eye with.
You're talking about the concept of selling out. So, for example, the most famous example of selling out is perhaps Nirvana. Nirvana they came from punk rock roots, dudes ramming into each other at these tiny little punk clubs and tearing up their t-shirts and putting safety pins through their noses and this little tiny underground culture. And then suddenly Nirvana came out of it and they started to sell tens of millions of albums and everybody accused them of being co-opted or selling out. And I guess my argument would be, well, yeah, maybe they sold out a little bit, but on the other hand, now we have Nirvana, so what's wrong with that? Like now we have, okay, maybe you had freak folk festivals or something where just a bunch of people are in a field being communal and celebrating life or whatever it is, and now you have Coachella, and Coachella's cool. Like, why not have Coachella?
Okay, where is everyone? How we just call it?
That's what I'm talking about. All right, together. Coast stage is over there. Walking Travis through a festival can either be good or bad. It definitely depends on if he's sober or not.
Navigating through a festival would best be described as a clusterfuck. No one pays attention to anything, one, especially if they don't see you at first when they turn around because I'm half their height. So navigating is the worst. You don't move anywhere, and if you do, it takes an hour to get there.
Dude, can you get away from high schoolers? I just hate being my high school.
Well, they ran off again. We can move further in, but we gotta stay together.
Let's go to the side. I know.
We're going to the side. Everyone move slow. There's good viewing area here.
I do always make people push me because I love the attention. I love being helped. I mean, I'm lazy.
it's fine, but it definitely can be stressful as well, especially when people aren't moving, or if he's intoxicated, trying to push him is really hard. Bringing it down to the onesie.
Okay, good. Wow. Yes, wow. To find you is difficult.
That's kind of what we do it for, I would say. You know, that feeling that you get of being really hyped to be around somebody, they're there, which means they're letting go too.
Schedule, sunscreen, chapstick.
All the stuff that you worry about ahead of time doesn't matter the second that you get there. It doesn't matter anymore. Once you're there, you're there. And these people are so high on the feeling of finally being there. The anticipation just burst.
You just know, dun, 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 and it just won't. That was a tight show. Nah, he ripped it.
The community aspect has shifted, like so many things, to the internet. Listening to recorded music has become a much more hyper-personal internal experience in some ways. I mean, you're talking about sort of like what's lost in the communal experience of listening to music. You know, the whole sort of, hey man, I got a record, let's all, you know, snort cocaine off the cover and sit around and listen, or let's roll joints on the cover. I guess that would be more politically correct. And sit around and listen to whatever album it is together, you know, in this communal experience. I mean, is that lost? Maybe.
You know, there are two sides to the technology thing. Yes, it's fueling the industry. There's a really that direct relationship in my mind, but also, you know, I think it's created a mindset amongst people that they need these social experiences to sort of, in these live social experiences, to get out from behind the computer and the phone and really kind of live for a while.
More so than anything else, I think that the coolest way to meet somebody at a festival is to overhear them talking about something else that they went to that you were at. And you get to say, hey, I was there for that. I got soaked in that rain.
I get lost, and I meet brand new friends every time.
This is last year's lineup. We all met there.
You know what? I went by myself. I said, I'm going to meet people out here that I've never met before. And you know what I'm saying? I'm going to enjoy myself. And that's what I did. I developed new relationships with people that I didn't even know. And they became real.
The other thing I think you find at festivals that you don't get at concerts, right? You have moments. You have that moment where you saw that band and you were there in that moment. And then you go and, oh, did you see, you know, I was at Coachella a few years ago and the Flying Lotus show was that moment. It was there and it was popping. I was at Lollapalooza several years ago and Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. Like, it was that people hanging out of trees to try to see that on a smaller stage, and there's that energy in that moment. And I think that's really unique to festival culture.
You know, get a chance to meet the artists is like one of the baddest things in the world, you know? Especially when you buy the album already, so you can be like, right, you know, I'm a supporter, not a perpetrator. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of Big Boy right there. Him and Sleepy Brown. That's dope. You know, you go across the stage. Keith Murray, this album right here he did when he was on the run, you know, from 5-0, you know what I'm saying? I got to see him at Most Def at the, what's the name of that festival? It was something at the Shrine. Him and Keith, Eric Sherman,
and Redman. It was a Death Squad show. It was pretty dope because I got Keith to sign it, and then I got Eric to sign that Strictly Business right there, which is pretty tight. And on the other side, I got a little bit of Reggie Noble, Redman times, stuff like that. You know, them boys was raw back in the day. You know, the greatest hits, Run DMC, Craig Mack. They only filmed that joke in black and white, probably because he was ugly as hell. But you know, that's the biggie thing. You know, Little Midnight Marauders, Chicago always represents. You know, you go across the stage all the way around through here. You know, you got NWA, the greatest hits. There's Ice Cube. You know what I'm saying? He still got a curl in that picture right there.
In the 60s, you could walk up to a band that had just performed at a huge venue, a superstar band, and be their friend. You know, like there was no, we were talking about how security at concerts has evolved. I mean, you couldn't do that today. If you went to Madison Square Garden to see Jay-Z and Beyonce, like, oh, hey, I'm gonna go meet my friend Beyonce. Like that would never happen in a million years. But in 1967, you know, when Van Morrison played, maybe not, he's not a good example because he's kind of a jerk, but you know, when The Who played or whoever, you know, you could just walk up and meet the band afterwards. And if you were a good photographer, you guys probably could have gone in with your film. I could have gone in and gotten an interview, and then our careers would be made, and we would still be bragging about it and making our entire livelihood off of it to this day. It's just things have changed.
I put these albums up here, a lot of them, because, you know, they, at one point in time, they meant something to me. You know what I'm saying? It was like the quickest one. And also, another criteria is that your album has to be in there. You know what I'm saying? For that, you know what I'm saying? This right here is pretty dope. This right here, I got this at that 12 Reasons to Die tour, you know what I'm saying? I got a chance to kick it with my man Ghostface, you know? He was pretty dope on some stuff, you know? I had him autograph it from me. So this side of here, here's the vinyl. I haven't opened this up in a while. Because he autographed it. There's a poster inside of here. Here it is, right here. Ghostface pulled this bad baby out for me. He autographed this for me after the show. You know, it's pretty fat. You know, it's always pretty good. Hopefully I catch up with Capadonna and Raekwon at one time. You know, maybe if I get lucky this weekend, get them to finish it off. You know what I'm saying? This is a hip hop classic album.
Inclement weather in the next 30 minutes in this area. Please clear away from trees and tall structures and commonly kept distance.
Guys, I'm so sorry, but due to weather concerns, we have to evacuate the stage right now. So, very sorry, I'm not sure. Will we be back on at some point? Maybe.
Dude, it's not even raining yet.
But thank you so much. We're very sorry. It's the Midwestern weather.
Well, that's probably due to like the recent stage collapses. Yeah, sure. Uh-oh, the Mac. Oh, why? You were supposed to be the chosen one. No, I've never had a festival close. I have raged in the rain for hours. And I've been lucky.
If you think really hard, maybe we can stop this rain.
Please clear away from trees and follow the directions.
amazement by the DJs. That's something I've never seen before. DJ to be able to control a crowd. Like, how can I move a crowd like Rakim used to say back in the day? Them jokers be moving, them jokers in oceans out there in North Coast. The way they put it down. You come out there and they just be like smash. Crowd be just be going like, what jokers be having lights. You just be like, what the hell? It's like they didn't come and lost their goddamn mind. You see them big, beach balls coming in the crowd, you like, man, they put on a show. This is unreal.
Man, I'm so glad we're back in here. We just spent like 3.5 hours in a Billy Goat's pub with like 40 other people from North Coast. And we turned on some fucking electronic music in there and we're banging around and it was awesome.
Tell Brent now, punch him in his butt.
This song is Sick Time. Get out of here.
Good Rob.
Oh, my bad.
All right, I'm gonna look up how to get there and we're gonna migrate as a group, everyone. We're migrating as a group. Meeting up with the Mush crew. They're called Mush. It's a bunch of promoters. And we're gonna wait until the big drops, perfect, gigantic. And then we're gonna drop a shitload of toilet paper, whatever we can, on the crowd. And it's gonna be awesome.
Everyone thinks that it's Burger King. I don't.
It is Burger King, that's what it is. Oh my gosh, she's so fucking. All right.
It's supposed to be a queen.
It's gotta be up there, right? Do you know where this song is sick is?
To what?
That this song is sick? You know where it is?
I'm sorry, the what?
That this sound is sick.
I don't.
It's right next to the stage we were just at.
We're gonna walk a little faster.
Well, they need to slow down because they're slow,
We always tend to get lost because of these people. Like,
I don't know. I want to tell him where it is in case we lose him. We're gonna take a sitting break. Our legs are tired. Let's fucking sit down.
Almost the feeling of oneness isn't as there on Fridays because everybody's so focused on themselves and the fact that they're there and they're so excited. And then by the end of the night, you can already see people making friends, going home with each other, following each other to after parties, linking up. And then throughout the weekend, I would say Saturday is the most cohesive day. Everybody's been there once. They're a little sore from yesterday, but they're still so ready to keep going.
This is Taylor's first festival! Yes! I'm so fucking glad you're here!
You feel like you don't need to eat and you don't need to sleep because you are invincible because of the energy that you get from being around these people and this music.
I'm here at this festival, and that's what it's about, I mean, I love it. A few times a year, you just get to unplug, plug into something completely different that's all you, and just enjoy yourself, man.
You know what's gonna be really dope is seeing this 36 Chambers. It's gonna be 36 Chambers. I saw them 20 years ago at the AC Club do that joint. You know what I'm saying? I remember ODB passing me a blunt off stage. You know what I'm saying? At the repercussions, I didn't realize, that's ODB. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking like, oh, okay, like whatever. But I didn't know Wu-Tang was forever at that point.
It's universal. You're gonna have groups of people that love hip hop. I'm saying, who don't like hip hop? You know what I'm saying? But you just gotta come correct with your crowd. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, come with it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta understand what people you coming to see, what songs they like. You know what I'm saying? From yours, you gotta take a pulse on it.
Exactly. And you can, it's like you're in the mood to hip hop. So you go to one stage, just have fun, and then you have more jump around, get crazy. You come here, it's like, wow, you have everything actually here.
dance. I love to dance. Like dancing. There's like someone dance next to you, and you can just feel this. It's like this emotion, this love for music. You don't have to talk too much. It's like we just understand each other. It's like look. It's like,
Yes!
We're just gonna be hanging out until like 9:15, 9:20. We're gonna start passing out the toilet paper around then, and just tell everybody like first drop after the balloons come out. Junior's back there right now getting the last of the balloons full up. So we have like all the big bags, so we can't really go anywhere. We're just gonna be like, we're all just posted up right there. So.
Okay, we'll walk with you over there. We need to get in there. I'm kind of thinking we should just go to Afrojack. Because this is so quiet, right? Let's go where the party's at.
Are you down to go to Afrojack?
Let's go to Afrojack.
I don't have a background.
This is too quiet.
We don't keep a schedule. We don't have expectations for anybody. If you don't come home with us at night, good for you. Your party's lasting longer than mine.
Now that I go to so many festivals, I can't keep all the artists even like straight in my head. Like I don't remember where I saw who or it's crazy. Well,
Hey, it's not even, I mean, now it's more about getting drawn in anyway, not like, you know.
yeah. We go with whatever's clever, man. Whatever works at the time for most people, that's what we do. And, you know, we're all adults. If somebody wants to stay and they stay, they just know that they have to get their own way home. And that's all it takes, really. I mean, if you think about it too much, you're going to stress yourself out for no reason. Everybody has their own definition of a good night. Some people's ends at 12, some people's ends at 2, some people's doesn't end. And we all kind of account for each other with that. We just do what we want.
You live here in Chicago?
What?
You live here in Chicago?
I live here, yes.
You was born here?
I was not.
Why you so good? Who is that? You kissed one girl.
I turned around and I got.
Yeah, I think you make me my girl.
If you weren't as pretty, I probably wouldn't let you do that, but
What?
you are,
That's
so
what?
good.
Wait, I think I know him. No, whatever. I just saw my friends there.
You did?
Yeah, but I forget his name, and that's why I.
Forgot his name?
I just wanted to start now. I hate waiting. It's worth it when it comes on, but I get such bad anxiety waiting for it. I'm like, let's go.
Is he okay?
I said just give him a second.
Are you okay?
I'm getting better.
Yes?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
I was just hot. They were up there.
Have someone water? Hey.
Over there.
Hey.
All right.
Give me water. Hey, give me water.
Water? I have water. Do you need some?
Drink it all, buddy. Bottoms up.
If he runs out, I have some too.
Oh, cool, okay. But he's getting better, so.
It's really cool to see the changes that are being made. It used to be just PLUR, and people have actually started saying PLURR for peace, love, unity, respect, and responsibility. So taking responsibility for yourself, for the people around you, and never being a bystander. This festival culture has really tried to embrace the idea of helping each other and being unified.
I'm gonna turn around like 2 minutes after hit that stick, okay? Okay? Turn around in 2 minutes after hit that stick, is that okay?
Ask him what?
Ask to hit the cigarette. Is that okay?
Cigarette.
Next cigarette.
You want
In 2 minutes, no.
You can have shorts. So alive. What that alive? I don't know. Here we go.
mind. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know. I really didn't know. But now that I do know, I feel ashamed that I didn't know. You can feel the energy up in this spot. Everything, you know what I'm saying? All the way from the church rooftop. Seeing Nas today drop that joint. When he did Whose World Is This? And made you look. I got the hair on the back of my neck stood up. You know what I mean? Because that junk right there, you a slave to a page in my rhyme book. That's just dope.
Number one, we're thinking about going to a different state. This crowd sucks. We need to go where the good vibes are, you know? Are you excited to see Passion Pit?
I fucking love Passion Pit. I cannot wait to see Passion Pit.
Are you gonna rage really
I'm
hard?
gonna tear Passion Pit up, man.
Yeah, Passion Pit's
Tear it
gonna
up,
be
yeah.
fucking crazy.
Turn up! Passion Pit is gonna be less exciting than I'm gonna be. Passion Pit is gonna be looking up to me, like in the crowd. I'm gonna be doing better than Passion Pit.
Yeah, no, you are gonna be doing better than Passion Pit. I believe you.
I know I am, so what's your question?
Okay, to be honest, I've never really listened to them. What kind of music is it?
I don't know. It's a mix between. I don't know. I have no idea. I've heard like 2 songs of Passion Pit. They're all right. I'm not here to see
I've heard
Passion.
like radio tracks.
I'm not here to see Passion Pit. I'm here to see other bands.
This actually reminds me of a classic line from a classic movie, which will date me. But the movie is Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And in that movie, one of the characters is coaching another character on the best way to go on a date. And I'm paraphrasing, but it's something like, no matter where you are, you gotta say, isn't this the greatest? We're at the mall. Isn't this the coolest? And that's the same, and that's good advice. And that's the same phenomenon, I think, that will occur at a festival. Nobody wants to pay $200, $300, stand out in the hot sun or the pouring rain, whatever it might be, and at the end come away saying, well, that really sucked. So the human nature of it is to say, oh my God, this was so great, and we were all here together. I don't think that's necessarily bad, it's just a phenomenon, and it's a phenomenon that marketers are aware of.
It's the same thing with sort of, are you the first to hear a band? You know, are you the first person to go discover that underground band? No, you're not. And maybe, you know, you could pretend that you were in 1994, but now you can't. So what do you do for bragging rights in music? Which, you know, as much as we like to be pure about it, that's a lot of what music is about sometimes. Well, I went to Coachella this year. Oh, cool. That's really cool.
Should we go to a different stage? This is boring. Let's go back to disco.
I love your hair, by the way. I love it. I'm ready my abs to stay that color.
I know.
It's good.
Let's go back to disco.
I don't know, call me a purist, but I go to a lot of festivals and I see how much fun people are having at festivals and how much, and then you think about all the social dialogue that's going on, you know, pre, during, post. I choose to think that it comes from an authentic place. And is there a badge of honor? Sure. Or, you know, like, you want to say you went to Lollapalooza, you want to say you went to EDC, but I think the reason you want to say it is because you went, right? And you got to go and you got to experience, and it was great.
In this era where we all listen to, you know, music individually, internally, with all these earbuds and so forth, maybe we're yearning for some sort of collective musical experience, and the festival is the ultimate one.
Yeah, I think there's a primal motivation to be around other people celebrating music and arts and culture and, you know, discovering new passions. And so I think that, like, that is just inherent as part of the human condition. I think history has shown that, you know, many, many times over.
Some of us sleep, some of us can't. We all just kind of hang out in the living room, you know, have some smokes, have some drinks, watch some TV, listen to some music.
So a bunch of people crashing at your house?
Yeah. I think I have like 4 people at my house tonight, and then like 6 tomorrow, and then like 5 and 6 the next night. I'm staying in those. But he and I went to 2011 together too, and this is kind of where it all started with us. So it's been a very
That's when you started dating your boyfriend.
It's when I fell in love with him.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, look at that crooked ass tree over there.
The way I see it, somebody with that perception, with a negative perception of these types of events, have no idea what somebody like me takes from it. The pure joy, the happiness, the freedom, the ability to let go for 3 days and do whatever you want.
I have too much energy in myself. It's like when I dance, that's come out. It's like I feel good. I have to do this for my soul. I'm just so positive and so this energy is like I wish I could give like everyone around me this energy. You know, I have no family around me. It's like for me it's very important that they just like me how I am. I don't have to play or be someone else or try. Just that's me. And yeah, I'm happy that I can make new friends in Chicago. For me, it's one of the best festivals for me now. Oh, thank you. I think he likes me.
I can't get hold of anyone, so it sucks. I might be alone the rest of the night. Not looking good.
So I was definitely nervous, I would say, and afraid that like there would be temptations. And yeah, I would say that would be what was going through my head the most when I first walked into a festival.
Man, I met this crew out in VIP. You know what I'm saying? We were just sitting there chilling on the bench. And next thing I know, we just start hanging out. You know what I'm saying? Next person buying shots. You know, yeah, I'm here. And we developed a friendship. You know, all of us. We just started looking out for each other. For some reason, you know what I'm saying? We just gravitated each other. You know what I'm saying? We just like the same music. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We still keep up with each other on, you know what I'm saying, whatever it means. You know what I'm saying? This festival happened like a minute ago, you know?
Look at this crowd out here. You got everybody out here, all nationalities, you know what I'm saying, vibing off different flows, different beats. You know what I'm saying? We
Different ages.
Different ages, transcending. I've been seeing jokers in there. I know they look older than me. I know they older than me, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to turn 40. Don't tell nobody, don't tell nobody. Man, you know what I'm saying? 2 days of this stuff will make you lose track of time.
Like you can go to a show and you can run into Travis or you can run into somebody that you normally may not talk to on a regular basis, but it creates that experience because you see all different kinds of life come into that perspective.
Austin had a little too much fun
I don't think I'll ever get sick of music festivals until I'm dead. With my lifestyle, I never second guess anything. I mean, if I fuck up, I fuck up. I learn from it. But otherwise, I'm happy with my life. I'm always smiling. That's what matters.
You know, I live my life by the simple code of just, you know, doing to others as you would like yourself. And that's like, I mean, it's my Christian roots, where they come from, even though I may not abide from them all the time. It's, you know, it's what I was raised in, and it's where I continue to be.
Amazing end to a great night.
Whenever I do a story for Rolling Stone about festivals, the question I always ask everybody is, are we reaching the saturation point in festivals? Like, have we hit the peak? Are we getting to the point where there just can't be any more? It doesn't seem like we've gotten there yet. Like, I would have said that 4 or 5 years ago. But even if you look at it back then, New York City didn't really have a very manageable festival. Like they didn't have a really good sort of mainstream rock festival. And now they have Governor's Ball. So things are still filling in sort of geographically. If you go around the country, you see all these niches all over the place, and you kind of go, oh, okay, Hangout's over here, and it's funny to, you can plot it's sort of like playing a game of Risk. They're all kind of divvying up territory and figuring out who goes where. So I do think that we're hitting a saturation point fairly soon. I think it's going to be in the next 2 or 3 years.
I don't think you're going to see a huge amount of growth in America. I think you're going to have, your biggest challenge for most festivals right now is location. I think you're going to have some shakeout in the United States.
But 5 or 6 years ago, we were starting to see, with the economy kind of collapsing, and with Bonnaroo and Coachella and the others kind of draining this massive superstar talent, we were starting to see some of the smaller ones that didn't have as strong of a regional niche or didn't have strong management kind of collapsing. And I thought that was it. I thought that was the moment when we saw the consolidation of festivals. And everything was like Apple and Google and Amazon, Coachella and Bonnaroo and Lollapalooza. That's what I thought at that point. But since then, some interesting things have happened. I mean, it's really, I think the answer to that question has to do with geographical niches.
Let me tell you something. When they decide to watch this joint, if this ever pop off on some big screen, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna remember one thing. Hip hop is forever. You know what I'm saying? It's timeless. You make timeless tracks. I mean, I'm like a grown ass man, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about this show at the Shrine, when, you know what I'm saying, the Halloween jam. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna have, Slick Rick gonna be performing. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about my costume. Don't tell nobody. I'm thinking about dressing up like Humpty Hump. It's a 90s jam, you know what I'm saying? My generation, you have to take advantage of what you can get, you know what I'm saying, in this limited economy, you know what I'm saying? If you say, you know what, I'm gonna go away for North Coast Music Festival for 3 days, huh? I'll be back. So it cost me $250 for my vacation time. Don't worry about it. I'll do anything you want with the kids later.
Young kids doing drugs, making out, rolling in the grass, being weird. It's intimidating. It's really intimidating. I think that it freaks a lot of people out. It's like a freak show. But if that's all that you can see when you look at a festival, you're missing the point.
That was late September. By early October, we got displaced. By late October, she was pregnant. I mean, as crazy as it may sound, a lot of this is because of the music. That's the kind of feeling that you get when you go to a festival. That is your families, your people, because we all like the same music, and then that makes it very special. I think makes our relationship very special.
I even want to make a joke, like, this is like our religion, it's like I feel like a pilgrim going to some really place, like, this is so strong. And when we arrived, we were so happy.